about cloud and social and how those can help you to go big. Just to set the scene, basically you've got some content really nice, as the one that Rob was showing, very creative stuff. It gets into social media, it creates that social effect, people are sharing it, but there has to be something after that. And whatever you have on the back of this e-commerce, it could be an app that has a backend and a database, you know, would it be able to go big? If you're getting all that influx coming in, would it be able to go big? So I'm going to be talking in the context of cloud rather than traditional servers that you're hosting in a building. So let's start right from the end, going big. What does going big looks like, you know, in terms of cloud? What is it? I'm going to look at two companies which are cloud-based, so I'm confident they're cloud-based, but they piggybacked on somebody else cloud to be able to deliver big stuff. So the first one is Khan Academy. It's non-for-profit. They get 10 million active unique users per month, and they have more than 30 million lessons, you know, thousands of videos. In 2012, they launched their computer science. People are excited. There were Twitter campaigns. They were, sort of covered in VentureBeat, TechCrunch, Wired, and they had a 60 Minutes as well on the CBS TV airing. And just to show you the sort of traffic or the spikes these guys were getting, you're looking at 200,000 people concurrent hitting your system just out of these campaigns. And that's just this is the hour they were broadcasting on TV. They did sort of record that at 10x, so he's playing at 10x speed. And that's the spike. It's just coming up to 57K concurrent users, and then it slides down. So you can imagine that puts really immense pressure on your system. It's like fire here, fire there, and you just sort of whack-a-mole type thing. So you back-end, your system, whatever it is, it has to be able to scale. It has to be able to go big, because it's pointless, driving traffic to it, but not coping, maybe showing a sleepy whale or something. There have to be something there that, you can handle traffic from many people. The second one is Snapchat. Although Snapchat is a social app itself, when it started, obviously, it needed social to promote itself. But basically, video and photo messaging app founded by three Stanford students, and it's most popular among millennials. Obviously, I'm not a millennial, so I haven't got it. I don't know. I mean, people talk about it. It's got 100 million active users per day. That's 100 million hitting that system on a daily basis. That is big numbers. And just look at the amount of photos, 7 billion video views per day. That is massive, massive amounts. And they're based on cloud, so they piggybacking on somebody else. A valuation of 10 to 20 billion. Their idea isn't complex at all. I mean, as you all know, Facebook managed to replicate their idea in 2 weeks in their poke app. So it's not really the idea, it's something that picks up, but you have to be able to fulfill. So now let's look at the power of social. And obviously people here are all social, so I'm not really a social expert, but this is just my own observations. Look at these. I mean, how many times you see likes and shares? People, you see a post and you're like, I'm gonna spare 2 seconds of my life to like it or to share it because I think it's worth it. I did enjoy watching it, or I think it will be useful to somebody else. And that's the social media effect, is that you share something and people love it or like it or find it useful and they share it, other people share it. It creates this momentum where people are sharing it on cross-platform. So from Twitter, it goes to Facebook, it goes to Reddit, it's stumbled upon, and people are blogging about your content. And eventually, it's a win situation because that drives traffic to your product, your service, to whatever it is. But you also, because you're getting these nice links, backlinks of people who talk in search engine optimization, you're getting all these nice backlinks, which increases your ranking on the search engine. So you're not really, you're moving from paying for traffic to actually getting organic traffic. But as Charlie said it, content is king. It all comes from content. If you haven't got nice content, it's just gonna go there and it's gonna fizzle. That's what's gonna happen. So content is king, but the question that I ask myself all the time is, if I'm sharing something about Sky, sort of a Star Wars, or if I'm tweeting about Justin Bieber, then it might be exciting to people. Coca-Cola, for example, is exciting. If I'm selling a product that's to do with taxes and stuff. It's not really that cool stuff like you want to share. I'm doing a product on timesheet, for example. People don't like filling their timesheet. The managers make them fill the timesheet. How can I make this really exciting and put content out there? It's like, yeah, let me share this timesheet stuff. I mean, I've got this timesheet product where I was talking, I went and installed this product to a company in London, and I was sort of talking to the lady, she's the accountant, and I was saying, you know, this timesheet is really cool. We've got like themes, you know, you can change the theme, it makes the whole thing pink. And he just said to me, son, you know, life is too short. I don't think I will ever try these themes. So it's like, how can you push content when you're not talking about exciting stuff? And I'll give you a personal story. This is just from my own blog. It's fairly quiet. You know, it's like there's nobody there. I mean, that's like average 10 visitors a day. I haven't been blogging on my blog. I moved to LinkedIn. I found that, you know, more people, LinkedIn sort of present my post to more people. So for the last like year and a half, I've been blogging on LinkedIn and getting nice views, you know, like 200, 300 views per post. And there, you know, 145 users. I've put like a small blog post out. But look at that, 600 users. That was like, I was like, that's like just early this month. And I was like, what's going on? I mean, the whole content thing for me is, you're sharing exciting content that people think is fun, they would reshare it. But I'm writing about technical stuff, this virtual machines, Kubernetes. How can people share that? So, and what happened is that I just written this blog post. There's this new technology coming out. It's really tough to understand. Somebody said that the documentation looked like a PhD thesis. That's how it is. I'm reading this documentation and my head is going, you know, I wish they had a diagram there just to explain this concept. It's really cool technology. Many people want to learn it, but it's difficult. The documentation is difficult. So I went through the documentation. I struggled. And then I thought, I never written anything called getting started or, you know, learn this in 10 minutes. I always write stuff which is probably a few people around the world find useful because, you know, we're not thinking about, we just think about what we want to write rather than about what people want to. And to be honest, I've read about it, and then I've just written a post called Learn It in 10 Minutes. And all the missing parts where they needed diagrams, I produced these diagrams and animated them. So it's, you know, really nice and simple. Put it out on Twitter. And before I know it, people like, after they finished their Christmas sort of, you know, holiday, everybody was reading it and was sharing it on Twitter. I couldn't believe myself. I mean, to me, this is viral. This is like my blog. Honestly, my blogs get mentioned on Twitter maybe once a year or so. Getting mentioned like 100 times on Twitter in a short period, just in a period of a couple of months, that's absolutely viral. And now I personally believe in social. I believe in it, but... And even Google Cloud Platform picked it up, and they were like sharing it as well. And that created the nice effect I was showing you in an infographic before. And what happened is that a few blog posts started picking it up as well, and like sharing it in their newsletters. And to be honest, I mean, yeah, the lesson I've learned from this is that simplicity is the key. You could complicate things, but if you make them simple, you reach a wider audience. Title does matter. If I just given it any title, people wouldn't have read it, but it said 10 minutes. So you've got 10 minutes of my life you're going to put aside to maybe learn this technology. And I think the timing was right as well, because if it wasn't the right timing, holiday period, it wouldn't have picked up. And the timing was right in terms of the technology itself. It's a brand new technology. Many people around the world are eager to learn it. I even managed to find the Chinese translated version of my blog post, which really made me happy. I mean, you know, it made me happy because I understood the whole thing about content and the social effect on a personal level. I understood it. So yeah, enough of that. Now we go to the clouds. So the clouds, what cloud computing? Basically, cloud computing gives you on-demand access to computing resources. You want network, you want storage, you want servers, you want applications, you want databases, you want queue. You can have them on demand. You can provision them and release them rapidly. I can click a button to acquire a server, and then I can click a button again to release it. But you don't have to do it manually. It can be done based on events. So if my system is really hammered, you can code some rule that says, oh yeah, just send it some minions and sort of beef it up a little bit. And that's called elasticity. And that's the most cool thing about cloud that makes it different from fixed computing, is that it's elastic. You know, you can release resources, you can acquire them all dynamically. And that's what enables is Snapchat to scale. What enables Khan Academy to scale and deal with those spikes is that they are able to acquire lots of servers and release them when they don't need them at night, maybe when people aren't accessing the service. There's no upfront investment, so you don't have to invest into buying servers, installing them, and anything as a service. This is a model with cloud. They provide you anything as a service, you know, infrastructure as a service. I'll talk about this in a bit. Software as a service. And per-use billing. So you get billed like your phone bill, like your electricity bill. You only pay for what you use. So you see a breakdown, my storage per month. I acquired this PC for an hour or so, and that's what you're getting charged for. And basically, all of it is based on big corporations' data centers. This is Google data centers. They use these anyway for Google operation, and they thought, okay, some of these servers aren't being utilized 100%. We can hire them out. We can hire this capacity out to customers and make money out of it. How does it work? So it looks really complex, but in a nutshell, cloud deployments are in regions. So cloud providers will have regions, and the regions is, you know, for various reasons, maybe closer to customers, maybe for regulatory reasons, such as Data Protection Act. And in each region, they will have those zones. Zones are like data centers. So if one data center goes down, if you deploy your application across data centers, then you have some resilience. If one data center goes down, the other one is still running. And inside there, they have their physical servers, and their physical servers have this something called the hypervisor. And sorry, that does sound like an agent from the Matrix, but it's all about the hypervisor. And it's all about virtualization. How does it work? Just quickly, because I think I'm sort of a bit over. Those servers here think they're real, but they're not real. And what if I told you it's all virtual? So they're not really real. Those servers here, we see them as real servers. They call them virtual machines or VMs. And they think they're real because they're sharing part of the physical, that's the physical server, that's the real one. And these are just like virtual ones. And they share part of the memory and the CPU as well on that PC. And if I have like a big massive server with like 8 core and massive memory, then I can run little ones of it and I can make money out. And that's how cloud providers make money. And to be honest, it's all about the hypervisor and it's all about virtualization, because cloud, without virtualization, without being able to run virtual things like a virtual network, virtual storage, virtual server, cloud wouldn't have, you know, come to this maturity that we see today. And the cool thing about that as well is that if you're this virtual server that lives somewhere in the matrix, if the real one needs maintenance or it needs to go down, cloud provider can move your server live into another one. So it's not just living in one host, it's actually moving to another one as well. Live migration while they sort of then shut this down for maintenance or something. So it's really cool. You know, the virtualization enabled us to take computing to a whole new level. And just quickly, you know, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, what is it? I like this pizza infographic. I like it because it explains it really well. On-premise, it means you're doing everything yourself. You're making the whole pizza all by yourself. If you go in infrastructure as a service, you're basically going out to Tesco and buying a frozen pizza and needs to come and bake at home. And if you're doing platform as a service, you're getting everything. You're getting a pizza delivered and you're just sort of providing the table and like, you know, putting the drinks. And then if you're doing software as a service, I don't care, I just want to eat out, I don't want to do anything. Then you go in and eating out. And I like this because it puts it in a sort of a nice infographic that everybody can understand. Because like in technology, people love these, you know, acronyms and saying, oh, you know, PaaS and SaaS, and this is the real thing. As you can see, virtualization is the key on all of them. And this is legacy, this is infrastructure as a service, this platform as a service, software as a service. Snapchat and Khan Academy use platform as a service. Why? Is because I don't care. I just deploy my application. I mean, it does make sense. If we're making a startup and we have this big idea, why go for that? Why do I have to worry about security and database and operating system? Why don't I just develop something and deploy it and then ask Google or Amazon or Microsoft Azure to scale it for me? You know, if it struggles, just scale it, make it 200 servers, 300 servers, 400 servers, and then I'll be able to think big. And just to quickly wrap up, I think this is my own take of it. It's that the going big recipe, sorry, it looks like code, is compelling content, It's difficult to do content sometimes, but I guess that's why you hire the experts to do it. Right timing, because timing is very important. I learned that lesson myself. Putting a post out just before Christmas is really good time because people will read it. Social, to drive traffic, to get that effect going. And cloud, to be able to fulfill. Because if you're not fulfilling and people are coming and seeing broken robots and sleepy wells, it's not really good. And that's me. So I'll be happy to take questions. Thank you.
I'm sure there are questions. There must be. We're going to do it because I know we're running over, but if everybody's okay, let's do a couple of questions. Any questions from the floor?
How do you differentiate a good cloud service provider to maybe one that's not so good? How can you differentiate them?
I always look at their SLAs to start with and their pricing as well, because now there's like a fierce competition between Amazon, Google and Azure, and we are the winners. Yeah, we are the winners. They're lowering prices. So I think for me it's the SLA and the time their services go down, for example, their customer service, because I know some startups, you know, I've worked with them, and sometimes your app is out there and it's very critical for you the app is functioning, and something happens because the cloud provider has deployed something that broke in your app. And if you can't get support, you know, there's no response, and to you it's critical, it's your life literally, because this is your startup. So a good cloud provider will be able to act immediately. You can talk to people higher up if you wanted, so you can get contacts inside maybe Google, maybe Amazon, maybe Microsoft that will help you to solve that problem. For me, that's a good cloud provider. Most of them have SLAs, but sometimes things go down. And you've seen it. Amazon, you know, had a big problem recently. But if Amazon goes down, then you've got a problem. You know, other people, bigger people, got a problem as well. So I think it's customer service and SLA. That's for me the key thing.
Is there an advantage to not just tying yourself to one cloud provider, but to, you know, if you're on AWS, yeah, that's the biggest one in the world. But, you know, is there an advantage to saying, let's design from the ground up so that you can run on any of the other providers in the instance you were saying, when Amazon goes down, that you can fire up on Azure?
Yeah, so the problem with that is that there's a trade-off, and that trade-off is that if you go for this model, which will, because this is a virtual machine, I'll take my app into Azure, I'll run it into Amazon, and I'll run it into Google, no problem, because you're literally just hiring a server that's virtual. The problem is with that. If you do just platform as a service, it will get you up, you know, two of us in the basement doing an app, we don't have a database guy, we don't have an OS guy or a security guy, that will get us going, because we just deploy this app. But this app will have a particular format. And unfortunately, I cannot just take it off, say, Google App Engine, for example. I cannot take it off Google App Engine and put it into Amazon Elastic Beanstalk. They both, they both platform as a service, but they have different formats. And that's the problem, is a trade-off between the resources you're going to need and the hassle and the headache, and the ability to just deploy an app and really run it and scale it without those resources. When Google goes down, in that case, you probably just have to wait for them to come back up because you don't have any option. But if you take this step, then you need to think about people to cover, or resources and experiences to cover all these areas, and you have to manage them yourself, which is an overhead trade-off.
Thank you.
Thank you.